doing this the last 3 weeks, I usually would have one or two energy drinks a day, and they were sugarless, whatever it was. I haven't had, obviously I haven't had one of those,
Yeah.
but I haven't felt like I've needed it,
Right.
which is crazy.
Hey guys, thank you so much for supporting us and watching our videos. If you'd like to support us some more and get some of our merchandise like this awesome apron, be sure to check out our website at thecarnivorerevolution.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the Carnivore Revolution. And today I have a really awesome update with my friend Meat Dad, Anthony. You guys met him 3 weeks ago, maybe. We had him on the YouTube channel and he was not a carnivore. He's just a normal old butcher that likes to make meat videos. And was it the day after you became carnivore?
I think it was the day. Yeah, I think it was the day after we had this conversation, and I had been, debating whether or not I wanted to give it a go anyway. And then after talking to you, I'll give you some credit because you definitely, you opened my eyes to like, why not just try it instead of
Yeah.
just judging it from one side or the other? And
Mhm.
I hear so much about it and being in this industry. Why not? It doesn't seem like it's gonna hurt people anyway.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's been wild. So it's
how are
been a
you
wild ride.
feeling?
So right now I feel absolutely wonderful. The first 2 days, maybe, it wasn't as bad as you hear some stories of like, oh, people get, maybe it'll be a stomach ache or they're in the bathroom a lot or whatever the story might be. After the first day, I was all right. And then leading into like the second afternoon, I was having some stomach issues. And then and then later into the night, it was the same kind of thing, just kind of nauseous and
Yeah.
kind of what you call bubble gut,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and then into the bathroom, and then I don't know, into the next day. It was kind of, but it wasn't like a flu, and
Right.
so people would say it's like a flu, but then say it's like a keto flu. There's all these things that
Yeah.
you hear, but I've been sick so many times having two young children that like this wasn't that bad. It wasn't like
Right.
really being sick. It was like being uncomfortable for a
Mhm.
day, right?
Right.
And then so after that, the next day goes, and then the next day goes, and then you're training your body obviously to just eat these proteins, and then so I'm also doing some dairy. So I'm doing some dairy. So I've been having a little bit of cheese and then a little milk, and then I do a cup of coffee in the morning.
Mhm.
I see all these rules, and then
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, it doesn't have to be any certain rules.
Right.
I can start somewhere, and for me, I kind of just want to eliminate most like vegetables
Mhm.
because I do have allergies and perhaps dry skin or eczema at some times, and I'm like, where does this stuff even come
Yeah.
from? And so I don't, again, I've never really got involved deep into my what's going on inside of my
Yeah.
body, right? Here and
Mhm.
there, I worked out and this, but like lately it's like, what is actually going into my body to fuel it? And so doing this the last 3 weeks, I mean, obviously with this, I usually would have one or two energy drinks a day, they were sugarless, whatever it was.
Mhm.
I haven't had, obviously I haven't had one of those,
Yeah.
but I haven't felt like I've needed it,
Right.
which is crazy. And it's, like I said, a cup of coffee and then, some eggs, some bacon,
Yeah.
maybe. And then we'll go into the afternoon and, we can talk about it. But one thing you have to do if you're doing this is prepare yourself. And
Mhm.
so I had a bunch of meat and a bunch of stuff ready for me to grab because otherwise you're screwed. You don't
Yeah.
have you just kind of like, well, I don't have time, whatever it is. I have two kids. I got
Mhm.
to take one here. Dude, me, I got a bag of meat that I made and then whatever else may be, I'll grab a string cheese and just kind of go through it. And it's 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 been wild. Yeah. It's been a
Yeah.
wild ride.
It's really amazing. So you mentioned like dry skin and things like that, and you started wondering like where does that come from? It comes from your gut. Things like that come from your gut. Skin conditions, autoimmune conditions, those things come from your gut. So a lot of times people go into something like the carnivore diet, as a way to lose weight. What they don't realize is that it's also a huge elimination diet. And so you do
Yes.
that, and it's the best kind of elimination diet because meat is one of the least inflammatory foods you can eat. And so, especially if you do something really strict like the lion diet, or you don't include dairy or anything
Oh,
like
yeah,
that,
I
like
can imagine.
yeah, you do this elimination thing and you feel really great. And then you have a cheat day and you think, "What in the world have I done to myself?" And it can feel like worse than it when those issues re-arise, it can be worse than it was before because you felt so good and then suddenly you feel so bad and then people realize, "Wait a minute, this isn't just about losing weight." And I think that's huge that you're recognizing those things and realizing that so much of this so much of our sickness, our illness as humans, what the world is going through right now as far as illnesses goes, so much of that is because of what we put in our bodies.
And again, you do hear it and you do think about it, and but you kind of just go with the same flow that you've always been taught, right? And so, feeding the kids cereal in the morning with
Mhm.
some fruit, you feel pretty good, and then just what a sandwich with fruit, and so it's all basic stuff that I grew up with every single day, and you feel like you're not just giving them bags of chips, you're kind of giving them everything in that pyramid. But then as I've gone through this last 3 weeks, I've felt it myself of like, man, I haven't had any of that stuff and
Mhm.
I feel better and there's more energy. And so with that last 3 weeks, I've been definitely giving my kids a lot less of the stuff because I have a little bit of guilt of like,
Yeah.
I'm eating this, but at the same time, they are children. And so,
Mhm.
yes, you can have your goldfish, I mean, come on,
Right.
enjoy it. But
Right.
as I'm seeing it more, I'm like, oh, maybe we'll go with a different brand of goldfish. You know what
Right.
I mean? And so
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that I've seen a little bit more in only 3 weeks. And so
Yeah.
it's been a cool process.
Yeah, and I will say, not to like put you on the spot, we're gonna put in a picture, a still shot of what you looked like 3 weeks ago, because there is a huge difference in your face. I'm shocked, and that's what I always tell people. And I think I told you, do yourself a favor. If you're gonna start carnivore, take yourself a
Yeah.
selfie, like straight out, your hands in front of you. Even people who don't like to take selfies, just do it because in a month you won't believe it. The difference is crazy in just 3 weeks or a month of reducing your, inflammatory foods.
It's so I decided from day one. So in the beginning, I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to the gym every day. And then I'm like, wait a minute, stop. I want to try this a
Yeah.
certain way. So I go to the gym a couple days a week. I walk my
Mhm.
dog all the time. I go on a little hike. So I'm like, I'm just gonna continue that same program and then see
Yes.
how I feel. I don't want to throw everything in at once. And then I'm
Right.
like, I just kind of want to see how it is with my regular life. And so I've just changed my diet and then kind of just done the same things, walks and a little bit of gym and here and there.
Mhm.
And I weighed myself the first day, but I haven't weighed myself since, and I don't want to
Okay.
because I want to wait. I want to wait
Yeah.
for myself because for me, in the past, I've done paleo or this. You could be discouraged super easily by you're like, man, I've only done this or, ooh, but I didn't want to think of it as
Mhm.
a weight loss thing. I wanted to think of it more as like, this is just kind of a test for my body. And so I'm waiting, but I see myself every day and I know that I've lost at least 15 pounds, I would
Wow.
say.
And
I
your
would
clothes
say,
fit differently. I mean, you can tell, right?
yeah, I could just tell, even like the sides right here went
Yeah.
down a little. And I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Like, this is only 3 weeks. I've been
Yeah.
piling this stuff in and I've done paleo before. I've done these
Mm.
ways of eating, but then you kind of like, oh, I'm making content. I'm doing this. You got to
Yeah.
make really juicy burgers with all, and then by the end of it,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I'm full.
Yeah. Right, so cool. So what does your wife think? Is she questioning it? Is she curious? What does she
But
think?
so my wife's a scientist. She's an immunologist, and so in the beginning, she's like, "What? Only meat?" And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Hang on." And then I'm explaining it more, and I showed her a couple of videos, and she had done an autoimmune diet before. She had some autoimmune. So we kind of like messed with stuff before where you had to like only eat this and then you eat these nuts and then you eat this for a while. And then it was just a really tight. And so she understood. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, she definitely can notice a difference. And I've been cooking, and doing the same for her. But I'll add, she's like, no way. Like
Yeah.
before me, she was actually a vegetarian, but I didn't make her. Like, then she was eating meat, but so she's still eating her salad and her
Yeah.
maybe some rice and all the stuff that the kids want to.
Yeah. Well, there is a lot worse things she could be eating than some vegetables and rice. It's the processed foods, I think, like you
Yeah,
said. You can
That's what we try to kind
yeah, and you can still do that. I mean, I know with kids it's really difficult and you can still do those things and also pay attention to the ingredients and still
of.
let your kids fit in and eat the things they love.
Yeah, exactly, and we're learning to just change the like, a little bit, and then,
Yeah.
it makes a great it makes a great change, just
Yeah.
changing a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. So tell me so far as a carnivore, what's been your favorite recipe that you have worked on?
Oh, man, it's you know what? It's basically I've been I told my wife I wanna have a line of carnivore food out now and just call it, like, dog food,
Yeah.
right? And then just
Yeah.
but good. So it's
Yeah.
like, this is ground beef with some eggs, with some cheese, with whatever, and then this is this, and because you kind of just go back to the same sort of thing, maybe change it. I don't I don't see the need to get. I want to because of my culinary fun. I want to get crazy and let's do this. And I've been having a little bit of fun, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm not. Yeah, it's very simple food, so
Yeah.
there's no need to hype it up. It's
Mhm.
like I'm eating some meat. I'm eating a lot of eggs. I'm eating hard boiled eggs. I'm eating some a lot of beef jerky, sugar free
Yeah.
beef jerky,
Mhm.
which is it's been a hero for me. I went to Las Vegas,
Yeah, I saw.
and yeah, and so now I have to figure out, the carnivore diet while I'm on the road, and so
Mhm.
that's something I hadn't had to mess with. And so
Yeah.
now I'm in the airport, and it was time to eat, and so I'm going around. I must have walked around 5 times, and I'm like, there was one that had a chicken broth, and I'm like, I mean, I guess I'm gonna get some chicken broth.
Yeah.
And then I saw this other one who had some like grilled chicken, but they were teriyaki, and I'm like,
Mm.
ah, man, that's the sugar.
Yeah.
And then I went to there was the Mexican place, and it was similar to like a Chipotle, and they had
Mhm.
grilled chicken and pork. And so I had asked the lady for I said, "Can I get some chicken and some pork, maybe a little cheese and a little dollop of sour cream?" She said, "Okay." And then she makes the whole thing and then hands it to me. I go sit down, and she puts the beans in it and rice, and I'm just like, well, I'm she gave it to me. I don't want to waste anything.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, you know what? I know myself so well. If I do this, I'm going to get to Vegas. I'm just like, I'll have a burger
Yeah.
because I already did this. So I just said, you know what? I brought it back, and she was a little confused, saying, "You
Yeah.
only want meat and cheese?" And it's like $27 at the airport. But I stuck
Yeah.
with it. And then when we were there, I was able to have a steak. We went out to a steakhouse, and so that was real easy. And then one night, it was late at night, and I'm like, I'm starving, haven't eaten. And so I went to In and Out and just got burger patties with some
Yeah.
cheese on it. And they were so good because you're just like craving all it was really good just to get some meat in me. And anyway, wake up, no hangover, feeling good
Yep. That's right.
with meat. And
That's right.
yeah, it's been pretty wild.
That's awesome. I've only been to In and Out once. They don't have them on the east side of the country where I live in Virginia. They don't have them. And so I've only been once when I went to a meetup in Colorado last fall, and I got the Flying Dutchman. I guess it's
Got it.
called.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what you
With
got, or you just
onions.
got the burger patties with the cheese?
I just no, just burger. So
Yeah. Well.
I got 5 burger patties with cheese because I
Okay.
didn't want to do any onions or
Right.
any
Yep.
sauce or anything.
Hmm.
So I'm like, that's it. And so
Apparently, there's a secret menu, and the Flying
okay,
Dutchman is just the meat and cheese. I don't even think it has bacon. I think it's just the meat and cheese. I want to say 2 patties with meat and cheese, and so you can get 2 of those or 4 of those, and I know people that add extra patties to it, so it's not as much cheese, but it was delicious. Here we have Five Guys, which is similar, but I like
yeah,
In-N-Out better. It was really
it,
good.
it's a it is a it doesn't feel like you're eating fast food
Yeah,
compared to other places, I would say. And I
yeah,
don't know what the deal, how much the Flying Dutchman is, but I'll tell you what, one patty was like $1.75. So I'm like, man, I got like 5 patties. It was $10. I'm like, man, I would have spent 15, 20 on getting a double, some fries, a
yeah.
drink. But I was totally satisfied with just bunch of meat at the end of the night.
Yeah, and so if you're watching this and you're, like, curious about that, like, oh, you can eat out, you can eat fast food on the carnivore diet, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, In-N-Out, they all are their patties are 100% beef, and so we look at that food like it's garbage because it's fast food, but it's because of the way that it's served with the fries and the drink and the bun, and so if you can get just the meat patty, you're gonna be doing great and doing yourself a huge service by just sticking with the meat, right?
Yeah, and you have to figure out a way. And
Yeah.
there's it's going to be hard, especially if you're on the road, if you're going, if you're doing anything, if you're at work. I
Mhm.
mean, you have to think about it. And I think we're also used to the convenience
Yeah.
of like, oh, I'm on my work break. I can
Mhm.
go over to this deli or whatever and go get some
Yeah.
chicken strips and go get this and grab a sandwich. It's easy and this. And then it makes it so you don't have to think about it and it's
Right.
simple for you. But
Mhm.
then you end up paying for it, I've seen,
Later.
with your body, right? And then
Mhm.
so it's kind of that thing. Well, if you start doing this way, then you're going to
Mhm.
reciprocate over here with this
Yeah.
part. And so uh, a lot of people have a tough time because time is really precious, and I understand that. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that take a lot of time, and doing the stuff that I do and breaking down pieces of meat, it takes
Yeah.
time. I'm
Mhm.
not most of the time I'm doing this when my kids go to sleep. It's like there's this, I'm going to spend this night and doing this, spend a couple hours, whatever I'm doing,
Yeah.
and then I'm done. And then I have a little bit of stuff ready to go. And so I've prepared myself, because in the
Yeah.
past I did the same thing, like wake up, put some sandwiches together. I got to go. We got the kids. But now it's like, if you start back one day and then you just kind of get going, I felt like, it's makes things a little easier.
Yeah, and the meats are so easy to make in advance and warm up, and food prep is so much easier, and I'm really proud of you at the airport that she gave it to you with the beans and stuff and that you thought about it, like,
Oh
"But
yeah.
if I do it now," I have to do that all the time, but if I do it now and I let myself have this now, when I get there, I'm gonna be saying, "Well, I already had that one meal," and I did that over Christmas time, and it was not pretty. I was miserable. It lasted 4.5 days, which is better than the weeks that it would have lasted me in the past, so I feel like I
Yeah.
well, but that's what happened was I told myself I can have this one meal, and then it just went on, and it was Mexican, just a weird coincidence, it was Mexican. Mexican has always been my downfall. I have if I had a dollar for every diet that I crashed, every juice fast that I crashed so I could have Mexican food, I'd be a millionaire by
Mhm.
now. I mean, it was like that was all, and my kids knew if they wanted to go out to eat and I didn't wanna go, if they said or I was on a diet, if they said
Yeah.
Mexican, so we did
That's
that,
me
and I
too.
have found that with Mexican, it's really pretty easy to stick with, though, that one but it has been really easy. I do what you do, what you did. I go in and I order, like, the fajitas, like, with just the meat and tell them to
Uh-huh.
keep the vegetables, and then I can have the sour cream and the cheese or the queso or
Uh-huh.
whatever, that goes on it, and so I think Mexican is a great option if you can get them and not put the beans and stuff on it.
Yes. So I've that's what I've been eating a lot. So
Yeah.
there's the seasoning that I have. So one of them has sugar in it. So I stayed away
Mhm.
from that one for now. And then it's not a lot, but just again, I can't have it. I know I can't have any of it. And then
Mhm.
my other one, it has rosemary, garlic, and stuff. So I've been using a lot of that because it's just like a ton of flavor.
Yeah.
But then there's a seasoning. It's a carne asada seasoning from a Fuego Lento. They do my seasonings with me, and I've
Okay.
been using that almost daily. So there's no sugar. It's just some
Right.
spices, a little paprika, I'm like, just some really nice spices. And it's basically like, let's say you got a packet of the taco seasoning, but it's so much better,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have all the stuff. It's
Okay.
anyway. So that with some ground beef and then a little bit of cheese, some sour cream, and I'll hit a little hot sauce.
Yeah.
I can eat that day in and day out. That's one of my, and so if I were to say like my go to, that
Mhm.
is like I can crave that again, and it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna eat some food. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm hungry. I'm gonna get some of that.
Yeah.
So it's that's, I guess, I now that I've thought about it, that would be the go to.
Okay, so, your 30 days is up next week. What are you gonna do?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not just gonna go. I'm not gonna go get a pizza.
Right.
I'll tell you that. Probably gonna continue somewhat down this road, and then I'd like to. I'm really afraid that I'm like tomatoes aren't going to be my friend. I want to reintroduce like some stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I want to reintroduce, like, I want to do tomato. I love salsa, like onions and tomatoes and garlic. Come on, this is what if I this is wonderful. I don't. I'm a food guy, so I feel like it'd be a real big part of my life missing if I wasn't able to test these things. Or if, let's say, I went somewhere and went to Italy, and oh man, it's like, here's the pasta. I mean, I want to be able to have this stuff, but not every day.
Right.
So I want to kind of, yeah, stick to something like this,
Yeah.
but then maybe, hey, it's my birthday.
Mhm.
Let's do this. And it'll be like going out and having some cocktails, right?
Right.
It'll be
Yeah.
like, oh man, why did I do that last night? But at the time, it felt pretty good. So
Mhm.
I think that's the thought process on it because yeah, again, it's not even just that it's not chips or bread. I mean, I love a nice sourdough bread, but it's more of like, basil with tomatoes, like I love that freshness. And so
Yeah.
and it feels weird not putting vegetables in my body because, that's just not what I've ever done. You usually, you feed your
Mhm.
body up with vegetables because, they're healthy, but
Right.
it's a conundrum.
Yeah. Yeah, it is because I agree with you. Like, it would be nice, and I think most people can do the carnivore diet as an elimination, and then they can add some things in here and there and see how it makes them feel. And then you get to decide on a daily basis: do you want to be inflamed today? Do you want to have a stomach ache? Do you want to feel like you used to feel when you didn't know you felt bad, or do you want to feel like you feel now? Now that you know that you felt bad before and feel great now, so I think it's a great tool that you can use so that you can decide, like you said, you're in Italy or you're going out for a special dinner and you want to be able to just have it, and you'll do that, and the next day you'll feel a little bit bad, like other people decide to drink, or whatever, and then the next day you'll be back on track, and by the end of the day you'll feel better again, and, I think that for a lot of people, they can have both of those things.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me is I don't feel like I'm the type.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm like, once I start we're here, oh, you know what? After the trip. That's the kind of and so that's the only thing that makes me hesitate in like
Mhm.
almost like, all right, let's just keep sticking this out for a little
Yeah.
bit longer, and then we'll, so we'll see. We'll see when we get to the 30.
Yeah.
I did I did the paleo diet before I got married 10 years ago. My wife and I did it. And it was great. We felt really good. And then it was like our engagement party, and that was the time for us to be done with it. And I ate some, whatever was there, the bread with the spinach dip. Oh man, did we feel did we feel awful? But then it's like, all right, this is our wedding,
Mhm.
so it's like, all right, we're gonna drink, we're gonna do this, and then it's honeymoon. And so you kind of like right after that, you just kind of like fall off, like, oh man, like, yeah, we'll implement some of it, but then it
Right.
just kind of like, oh, like we've already are doing this. So
Yeah. You know what that is? That's the difference between an abstainer and a moderator, and I'm the same
yeah,
way. I'm an abstainer, like, if I allow myself, and so that's why, like, I'm an all or nothing kind of person. I've
yeah,
always been like that. So I can
yeah,
be, if I had one bite of something, I would say, "Oh, forget it. I might as well just eat whatever I want all day long," and I would just eat, my
yeah.
cravings and stuff all day long. So I've always been like that, and that's a really good thing for you to know about yourself, that you have to be
Yeah.
careful because you know that if you do it, you're just gonna do it. Like, you're gonna just go berserk.
I know myself, and but it's everything in life, and
Yeah.
so it's the same thing. Yeah, it's like I know I haven't had a drink in a year and a half.
Mhm.
Just for my wife and I are like, man, let's just see how it makes us feel raising these kids and not having drinks. And
Yeah.
so we've just been like, man, this felt pretty good. We
Yeah.
drank all of our life, and
Mhm.
so I know, like, she's had like a non-alcoholic beer, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I know, I'm good. I don't want to
Yeah.
even put that in my mouth because I know
Right.
myself so well that I'm like, I don't want this.
Right.
I would rather have this. And then I know again, then one thing will lead to another. And then I'll be like, oh, we'll have beers a couple times a week, which is not a bad thing at all. But for me, I just wanted to like
Yeah.
change, change some things. And
Yeah.
so
I get it.
we're taking one step at a time with all this stuff. And I don't want to
Yeah.
overwhelm myself.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. Well, I'm
Yeah,
so glad you're feeling great, and, we'll have to talk again in a month or so and see how you're feeling when you add some things back in.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll schedule something to talk about. No, I did use your so I haven't needed it as much because my
Yeah.
skin hasn't been so dry, but you
Yeah.
did send me that lotion, and it is. I'm not a big lotion guy because
Yeah.
I'm a man. I
Right, of
use my
course.
wife's here and there, but
Yeah.
I strictly got my lotion. I got my beard oil now. I'm doing my
Nice.
little regiment in the morning. So
Thank you.
shout out! I really appreciate it. It's really nice. It doesn't like
Thank you.
smell like a bunch of fragrances, and
Right.
it just goes in and it feels.
Thank you.
It's weird. I'm talking all about lotion, but
I know,
it's a
look at
nice
you.
lotion. It's a nice
Appear to be a
lotion.
tallow lotion connoisseur.
There we go. Hey, I'm telling you, the next one when I run out of this, I'm gonna purchase the next order because you sent
Awesome.
this one to me. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's another way you can eliminate those toxins from your life, and kind of get healthier that way too. Like we were talking about earlier for the kids, you improve the ingredients. We do that for ourselves too with things like cleaning products and lotions and things like that. You don't want all of those toxic things because they're just making us sicker.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much stuff out there
So
we
much.
don't even know. We don't
Yeah,
even know.
that's right. Anthony, Meat Dad, thank you so much for hanging with me today.
No problem. Thank you. It's
Very
nice.
cool.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, we will. Okay. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the Carnivore Revolution.
Bye bye.